I truly believe it's time for leaders to also bring facilitation.
In terms of training and facilitation, so there are some trainings where there's a lot of output from the participants. Would that be considered facilitation?
All right, great question. So if we looked at the spectrum, yeah. So say for example, at this end is training, and at this end is facilitation, yeah. Because one is input and one is output. So the kind of training that you're talking about is somewhere in the middle. So that is what we call facilitative trainers. So they are still trainers because the session is still an input session. However, within the input session, there is elements of outputting. So that's why they're called facilitative trainer. You can never have you can have facilitation skills in training, but you will never have a training skill in facilitation.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because one is output, but you can use input. One is input, and you can use output element. But if the facilitation is totally output, you cannot have any input in it. So therefore, you have facilitative trainers, which is running trainings in a facilitative manner, but still the objective is an input objective. Whereas facilitation sessions are purely output. You cannot input anything in. Facilitation is something that is beginning to start seeping into corporate, yeah. And previously, a lot of leaders are exposed to coaching.
Right.
Because that's why you see a lot of corporates for the past couple of years bringing in coaching skills for leaders. Yeah, but as I said to you, coaching is also output, but predominantly is one-on-one. But if you were to think about a leader's role, yeah, a leader predominantly works with a group. So actually, facilitation skill is actually quite important for a leader because naturally he is dealing with groups. So therefore, facilitation skill is the next skill. If you were to ask me, if coaching is already a skill that leaders are bringing in already into corporate, I truly believe it's time for leaders to also bring facilitation skills as part of their leadership skill because the nature of them working with groups. Yeah. Okay, so that's the one. So in terms of the natural flair of facilitation or the essence of facilitation, is truly a fit into leaders, a leader's role, because they are working with a group of people. First. The second thing is facilitation is, there's a lot of definition of facilitation, but one of the essence of facilitation is collaboration, collaborative. Yeah, it has got to be, when you get a group of people and you're facilitating them, your idea is for the group to be collaborative. Yeah, and again, this word collaboration, another term that leaders are now looking into, or one of the things that the leaders are needed to do nowadays is to get the team to collaborating with each other. Second point, how that's as another essence of facilitation fits into leaders' skill. Yeah. And the third thing, the third essence of facilitation is empowerment. Yeah, where in a facilitation session, that's the reason why a facilitator doesn't input anything. They empower the group to come out with something. So the output, yeah. Therefore, it's very important for them to also be empowered. Again, another thing where empowerment, collaboration, and all this is the nature of facilitation fits in very nicely with leadership. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the benefits. There are actually many benefits, but I would say I would zero in on a couple of the 7 most important benefits. And by nature of the collaboration essence of facilitation, the mere fact that when a leader uses facilitation processes and skills within the team, immediately he's already bringing in collaboration into the team. Without meaning as he uses the process, and because of the nature of the process is very collaborative, the team eventually becomes collaborative.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about trying to find different things to get them to collaborate. Just facilitate them, And if he does facilitation well, the team will naturally be collaborative, because that's the essence of facilitation. So that's the first benefit, is that the team is when he facilitates the team eventually will start to collaborate. Now, when he is collaborative and there is already collaboration in the team and he's facilitating, therefore the rapport and relationship goes up. Does it make sense? It makes sense, right?
It does.
Because
it does.
as you collaborate, as you facilitate, you create this relationship element into the scene. Yeah. So therefore, relationship and rapport increases as the leader uses facilitation processes.
Right.
Because the group cannot run away from creating relationship with each other if facilitation is available. Okay. So now, just with one skill, you already get two things that you're handling. Okay.
Right.
What else will come up? Because of the facilitation processes that you use, more often than not, these facilitation processes, when they empower others, when it allows them to empower others, because they need to come up with something. So the leader actually stands back.
Right.
And the team is actually doing the work. So then another thing that comes up is what? The team becomes empowered.
Right.
Yeah. So then again, one skill now brings in empowerment, installs empowerment in the group. So that's three benefits.
Right. Okay.
Create relationship and rapport, increases collaboration, and then the other thing is empowering the team. So these are all naturally essence of facilitation.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's three already. So let's now look at when you empower people, and when you step back, they cannot but be creative. They cannot but be innovative. Correct? Because they need to, they are looking, they can't look anywhere else for solution. So that's the other thing. Not only they become creative, they suddenly become solution focused as well through the facilitation processes that is created. So now, number one is the collaboration element, rapport and relationship. It creates empowerment, and because the leader steps out, the team is forced to be creative and innovative, and they are naturally, when they are creative and innovative, what happens? They become solution focused. They become innovators to innovate. So that's the 5 benefit. So you see, it actually sort of like, it's like spiraling one over the other. And all this came about because of the essence of facilitation.
Right.
So and when they are solution focused, they also will start developing creative. They start developing strategic thinking and critical thinking. Because they become creative, they become empowered. They also develop this.
Right.
And last but not least, of course, when you empower people, they become they have ownership. So that's part of empowerment, and engagement. Because you are now, rather than top bottom, you are actually pulling things out from them. So you are engaging them in a more meaningful manner. So those are the benefits of for a leader that uses facilitation. Naturally, just by using facilitation, all these things will come from the team.
Right. So, and I gather that when this happens, this process happens, there's a lot more retention and after the whole process, right? People remember things a lot more because they are the ones who are doing it, right?
Correct. Yeah, and this is the other thing about facilitation. To some extent, when leaders use facilitation, there is of course a setback. The setback is that yes, they are empowering their people, but it will take time because it's not naturally people are empowered. People are not naturally willing to collaborate. So it does take a little bit of time. So this is where I think managers need to be careful or leaders need to be careful when they bring in facilitation. Have patience. The result is not going to happen immediately. So that's the reason why a lot of leaders and managers who rather instruct and manage because they want the quick result. But the problem with instructing and managing, it doesn't create the ripple effect of empowerment. It doesn't create the ripple effect of ownership. And over time, eventually the team will always be relying on the leader. for more instruction, for more to manage them. So in the end, you get short-term result, but long-term, you're not developing your team.
Right.